Welcome into SportBet Extra. I'm your host, Paul Rami, here every Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Today is November 11th, 2025, and we've got a great show for you. We're going to recap yesterday what we had for our plays. We're going to talk a little bit about the weekend, what happened in college football, what happened in the NFL. Again, if you want to get all of my plays, go over to sportbetextra.com, log in there, sign up. I've got a free 7-day trial. There's other options there. You can join weekly, monthly, whatever you like. We will discuss again how we've been doing there over the past couple of days. Also, real quick, it is Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day to all of you that are out there that have served, allowing us and me to sit here and do this. It's wonderful. So happy Veterans Day. Today's November 11th. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Okay, so we are now doing one of our play of the day type of plays now that we've got sportbetextra.com up and running. So for those of you that did get yesterday's play, it was a loss. We had Fairfield there plus 13. No good. So currently 21, 15, and 1 overall record for a total of plus 6.09 units. So just about 3 weeks it's been now. You would be up $609 there, just tailing those show plays, free plays, all of that. Again, I will have another free play at the end of the show. And then if you want the rest of the plays, you'll obviously know where to go. So yesterday, real quick, like we talked about, we did go 3-1 yesterday. So the other 3 plays, if you were a part of the group there, you did get those 3 winners. Again, Fairfield, they just did not do very well. Second half, Seton Hall just kind of ran away with it there. They forced 17 turnovers, 13 blocks. Fairfield really just struggled and couldn't compete with Seton Hall there. Iowa State, they win. They cover that 5.5 against Mississippi State there. They look good. They're going to try and make another deep run in the tournament this year. That defense looks just as good as what they had last year. So keep an eye out for Iowa State this year in the Big 12. Talked about one of the other plays that we had, Santa Clara. I talked about Xavier I believe, in their first game about last week. Again, I'm not a fan of Xavier. They're not going to be a good program this year. They're going to have a lot of growing pains. We had Marist against them in the opener. That covered. We had Santa Clara last night. They covered and won outright. So easy win there. It's really going to be a tough year for Xavier in the Big East. So I would continue to fade them. Just, for now, they're not going to be covering those large numbers. In the NBA, we had the Heat. They went outright. Another one where we had an underdog who wins outright there. A large 8-point spread. They cover that. Going to overtime, beat the Cavs. Powell's really making the difference there for that team this year. I mean, they're really playing like a good, cohesive team. I mean, he's stepping up and being that guy now that there's no Jimmy Butler. That's kind of the role that he's had to jump into there. Jaquez looks good off the bench. Always been a fan of him ever since UCLA. And the rest of the squad, they look good. Wiggins there, he kind of fits in nicely with that team as well. I'm sure once Hero comes back, they're going to get even more shooting. May throw off the team a little bit, getting adjusted to him coming back, but we'll see when that time comes. Tomorrow, I am going to reveal my college football top 10, so keep a lookout for that. But today, let's go ahead and get into some college basketball. There are quite a few games for today. I'm only going to cover, I think, 5 games I have here that I'm going to cover. If you ever want me to cover more, just let me know in the comments. I can easily go and start talking about those as well. Or send me a message at Paul Rami there on X. You see at the top, and I can always get to those questions and put that here on the show as well. First one I want to look at is Dayton at Cincinnati. Here, Cincinnati opened at -6.5. They're facing off on what's called the Twyman Stokes Classic here. Cincinnati, they were very active in the portal in the offseason, adding 2 really big pieces in Baba Miller from FAU, who's 6'11 there. and 7'2" Mustafa Thiam from UCF, which gives him quite a bit of size. So that interior is going to be tough to break through. They also bring the sharpshooter Kirk Kriisa, if anyone remembers him. He was a difference maker at Arizona a couple of years back. Didn't really get a lot of run last year in Kentucky, which is probably why he transferred out, because there was too much depth there on that team. Day Thomas and Sear Harris, they returned for this team from last year. So it's really essentially a new lineup under Coach Wes Miller there. In his fifth season, I can't put too much stock in their first games, as Dayton is going to be a much tougher competition than what Cincinnati has seen to start the season. It looks like, turnovers, they were an issue the first two games, and Dayton, they can really capitalize on that if Cincinnati can't handle the ball properly, especially as, Dayton, they went and focused on defense in the portal. They kept 4 veterans that helped with team chemistry. They added guys like Deshaun Montgomery out of Georgia, who's already averaging 4 steals per game, as one of those really relentless defenders. You got Keontae Jones. He came over from CS Northridge, and he's also very strong defensively. With really the continuity and defensive focus that Dayton is going to lean on, they're going to be a tough team in the A10. It's a pretty high total. This kind of seems to be one of those very physical games where the defense comes to play in the first half, but really could turn into a game that's a one at the free throw line down the stretch. I would put a little bit more trust in Dayton here for this game. Looking at the current line, it is I'm seeing a 6, some 6.5 there. I would lean probably Dayton at this one. Again, I just think defensively Dayton is going to be able to keep this game close and force a lot of turnovers against that Cincinnati team. One other one I want to look at before we get into the ranked matchups is going to be LaSalle at Temple. So I just want to touch on this one real quick. New head coach, Darius Nichols, he was having one of the most extensive roster overhauls. Only one player is going to return from last year's LaSalle squad, so it's a completely new team. However, Nichols, he went to the transfer portal heavily. He brought in a few players that are familiar, with him during his time at Radford, right? Like Truth and Josiah Harris, they're back. Which, unfortunately, Truth Harris, though, he was injured just 5 minutes into the season opener due to an ankle injury. So if he does go tonight, that's going to be a major boost for LaSalle, but I don't know if he's going to or not. I haven't really seen much on it. I can't find much information on how he's doing. The freshman, Ashton Walker, he's a 3-star recruit. He's already made an impact on this team with 12 points per game, go along with 6 assists, 6 boards. So he's really getting involved all over the place. You really love to see that from a freshman there. One thing we love to see also in college basketball is a team that can hit their free throws, which LaSalle, they excel with 76% in their free throw shooting. Temple, one of the worst in the nation. They're only 59% from the free throw line. Temple also, they returned 4 players from last year. They also focused on the portal to bring in some help. They lost a lot of their scoring and a lot of their transfers, or a lot of the guys to transfers and eligibility. So the Owls are really going to have to continue to shoot well, because rebounding is going to be difficult for them against this LaSalle team, again, who has a little bit more size. I'd expect this one to be very close and come down to one of maybe like a 1 or 2 possession type of game. It opened at I believe 5.5. Again, it is at a 6.5 right now, just depending where you shop. So may look at LaSalle here. Again, that's kind of the direction I would lean, maybe an under. I'm just not quite sure if Cincinnati is going to be able to cover this number here. Let's get into the ranked ones now. This is going to be a great one to watch. Definitely going to be watching this one tonight. Number 9, Kentucky at number 11, Louisville. In-state rivals. Opened at a 3.5. I'm looking now. It looks like it's at about it opened at a 4.5. Now it's about a 5.5. So a lot of money's coming in there on Louisville. I mean, both teams, they're 2-0. They blew out their previous competition. They're really going to need to execute a solid game plan if they want a chance tonight for whichever team. To start the season, I mean, both I'm looking at here, they've got at least 6 players in double-digit scoring. So we know that these kids are going to be able to play when given that opportunity. 5 veteran players returned to Louisville to go with a very strong recruiting class. Tongue twister there. They added 3-6-4 guards. Those guys are already making an immediate impact. One of those being Sananda Fru from Germany. It's going to be a great rotational piece. He's got that size and kind of a soft touch around, the rim there. Looks like Javon Hadley still being evaluated for a concussion, but I would expect him to go here tonight, be ready for this game. They're hopeful that he can play. Kentucky, they're right along kind of that same path at Louisville in terms of returning players and talent added. I just wish we saw a bit more defensively from Kentucky these first 2 games. They're really not forcing a lot of turnovers. They're not getting a lot of steals like Louisville has. It almost feels like Kansas and North Carolina, that type of matchup where, that we saw that last week. It's going to be close in that first half, and then second half, Louisville just maybe runs away with it. I mean, we saw Kentucky. We had them there. They couldn't cover that large number against Nichols. Again, I would look Louisville here to go ahead and cover that number. I don't like that a lot of the bets are already on Louisville, so you're getting a little bit worse of a number there. Again, it kind of always makes me a little weary when being on the same side as the public. So maybe one game we just stay off of, maybe take Louisville. I don't know, but just wanted to kind of talk about that one real quick. Next one we're going to get into is number 10, Texas Tech, at number 17, Illinois. This one I am excited to watch. Texas Tech, they added some transfers in the portal, and they kept a good core of 5 players from last year's team. This team is only going to go as far as JT Toppin is going to take him, which, by the way, no relation to Obi Toppin and Jacob Toppin. Those guys are brothers. JT Toppin is just his own guy. No relation to them, if anyone ever knew that or not. They're going to have to shoot the ball well from 3. Otherwise, it's just going to be a long night for them. The Red Raiders, they lack good free throw shooting, so they've got to score from the perimeter. I mean, when you're looking at the other side of the floor in Illinois, they're now missing, of course, a major part of this team, their leading scorer, Tomislav Ivicic. But luckily, his brother came on over from Arkansas, Zvonimir. I can never remember how to pronounce his name exactly. He came over from Arkansas, so he'll be able to slot right in and kind of fill the shoes there of his brother. With key returning players, they're adding also Andrei Stojakovic from Cal. They're going to be really tough come Big Ten conference play. We know Stojakovic, he can shoot the 3. He has no problem taking over a game if needed. Keaton Wagler, David Merkovich, they come in as recruits. They're already making an immediate impact. So I would look for them to continue that throughout the season for Illinois. It just feels like this is going to be a game where getting off good shots, they're going to be difficult. But this total does seem a little low with both of these teams who've shown they have that capability to score. I'd maybe look somewhere at an over. That's where I'd be leaning. Maybe laying the points with Illinois at home here, even with the absence of their big man there. Again, maybe an over would be a better play here, but I'm liking Illinois. I'm looking at their number currently. They did it at a 3.5. They're at about a 4 right now that I'm finding. 4.5 around that range. I would lean more for Illinois to go ahead and win and cover. Last one I want to talk about tonight, that's going to be a very fun one. I'm going to continue to watch this team. It's going to be number 23 Creighton at number 21 Gonzaga. Gonzaga opened up as a minus 10.5 point favorite. It's already up to about a 12.5 or 13. That line is moving pretty quickly overnight. A lot of money's coming in on Gonzaga. Creighton, they had a lot of turnover in the offseason since Kalkbrenner. He's out. Obviously, he went to the NBA. He's over with the Hornets now. They lost a lot of key players, including Ashworth, who was an incredible three-point shooter. They were active in the portal. They got a big man to replace Kalkbrenner and Owen Freeman. He's already made a pretty big impact in one game that they've had so far. Josh Dix, he also comes in from Iowa, who's a solid three-point shooter. So they're kind of replacing those two main guys, Ashworth and Kalkbrenner, that they lost. Again, not quite the type of players, but close. Returners like Jackson Gandrew, Isaac Trout, they're going to offer size to really compete, as those guys are both around that 6'9", 6'10" height area. So Creighton has that good blend of returners along with some experienced transfers that if they're able to gel together, they could make, another run and not miss out on the Sweet 16 like they did last year when they lost to number 1 Auburn. So look for Creighton to make a run in the Big East, continue being a dominant team in the Big East. Gonzaga is a team that I was always against years prior, back when you had guys like Rui Hachimura playing there, right? Just kind of that team was just very annoying because of how good they were. Gonzaga's always been so good. However, over the past few years, I just can't deny what Coach Mark Few he's doing there with that team, with that program. He's always consistently able to do so, and it's hard to really hate a team that's always in consideration for the national championship, right? They're always going to kind of be in those talks. It's one of those teams that you can never count out. Gonzaga. This year, I'm going down with the ship. This year, it really feels like a team that can make a deep run come March in the Final Four, maybe going for a national championship. The main reason is you gotta love Tyon Grant Foster. Been a fan of him ever since he was at Grand Canyon. He's just a pure scorer, NBA body. I mean, he doesn't shoot threes like an NBA player. He's one of those guys that really, right now, he knows his game. He knows his game is mid-range and getting to the rim. I mean, he's just so quick for his size. He's able to get to the rim with ease. I mean, with Graham Ike and Braden Huff beside him, he's got this space, right? Because you can't leave those guys. Otherwise, he's just going to dish it to him and get some easy points in the paint. Again, this number has shot up already quite a bit. I would not hesitate to still take Gonzaga here with the points laying to 13. I'm just huge on them this year. However, there may be some other plays tonight that we can look at that would be a little bit better than forcing something like this. I will for sure be watching this game as well. Again, big fan of Tyon Grant Foster. I just don't know if I'm going to get involved with that large number because of how much it's already moved. Don't like being late to the party on this one, getting the worst number. You're never going to win or have a winning percentage by doing that. And again, there's so many games in college basketball. You don't need to force action where it's not needed. Again, the books, they have to put out lines for every single game. We don't have to bet every single game. So this one I'm probably going to stay off of, but I will be watching and seeing maybe we can get some better information, some more value for later on games. Real quick, let's talk about the NBA. There's not too much that we're going to talk about. Just looking at, I wanted to touch on the Raptors and the Nets here. There's only one way I would go for this game, and it's going to be Toronto or nothing. With Cam Thomas, he's out for the Nets now for a few weeks. That hamstring injury, there's just going to not be a lot of scoring for this team. You can't rely on Michael Porter Jr. to be the guy. I love Michael Porter Jr., but he's not that guy that's going to take over and lead the team. I would expect Toronto to bounce back here from that loss against the 76ers after, a couple days now to prepare. So again, I would just be looking at Toronto or nothing on this one. Looking at the Warriors and Thunder game, another interesting matchup. This one we're looking at about a 7.5 point spread here. Thunder, man, again, they're just too good. It's hard to bet against them. I know they lost to the Blazers, but now, I mean, just looking at them, what they've done since that loss, they came back 2 big wins at the Kings, at the Grizzlies, had no problem going on the road and getting, taking care of business there. I continue to just roll with the Thunder. Probably not going to have anything on this one here, even with the Warriors looking like they may be healthy. That's probably going to be a pass for me. Celtics at the Sixers. Sixers slight favorite at home, only 1.5 point favorite there. I would lean Sixers here. I'm just not quite sure I'm ready to trust them yet this season. Obviously, they're going to be a great team. They can show up at any time, so I wouldn't even be surprised if they win this game either. Looking at the other two, Pacers at the Jazz, no interest there in getting involved with that one. The Jazz at home, slight underdog. Again, doesn't really make too much sense, especially with all the injuries that the Pacers have. Why would the Jazz not be favored? So that line's kind of telling you just take the Pacers with the points there, lay the 2.5, and they'll get the job done. Lastly, Nuggets at the Kings. Kings, they're going to be a team that's going to struggle all year, especially with injuries. I mean, they've got Sabonis. He's game time decision. We don't really know what's going to happen with him. Also, Keegan Murray, he's out. So there goes some of your three-point shooting. On the other side, Denver does have some injuries and possibly Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. I want to just double check the injury report here. Looks like Aaron Gordon, he is expected to play. Jamal Murray, he's expected to play as well. So with all these guys going, Denver should not have an issue getting the job done here. Don't think we'll be on that one, however. So real quick, what we're going to do tomorrow, again, we're going to talk about college football top 10. I'm going to go ahead and give out my play of the day right now. So again, we talked about NBA. We talked about college basketball. The one play that I am liking that I'm going to go ahead and go with is Illinois here, laying the 4.5 in college basketball. I just locked it in. Illinois minus 4.5, minus 107. I'd be happy to lay that one there. So that will be the play of the day. Again, as soon as the show is over, you can go to sportbetextra.com, get the rest of my plays there. I will have about maybe two or three other plays for tonight. So go subscribe. Again, there's a 1 week free trial. After that, you can continue with the week, you continue with the month, continue with 3 months. Go check it out. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, you can go follow me on X and YouTube at Paul Rami. Also, if you see down below, go to ProfitX, use my code Paul Rami is there. You're going to get 20% off, or I'm sorry, 20% purchase match up to $100. ProfitX is where I use a lot of my lines. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. And again,